Who in the world is Lucy? We had a lot of fun doing this in class. What we basically did was we just made up someone. I gave us the gender, I gave us the name, and then everything else was up for grabs. And then so we said, tell us about this person. And the class went to the extreme and said things like, oh, like Lucy is a migrant with no ability to speak English. She's disabled. She's got many sexual partners. And we kept going down this line of what's holding Lucy back, or all these negative connotations. And then I switched it and I said, all right, what about Lucy? Does she really enjoy about herself? And so it was things like, okay, she's artistic, she's got friends, she's got a strong community around her. And so we just painted this really descriptive narrative of the young person, and then looked at it from the perspective of the youth sector. And then we're saying, what does the youth sector offer for a person like Lucy? And you'll see on the next slide the definition of the youth sector. Definition of terms youth sector orientation is the youth sector is a term given to organisations that work with, for and on behalf of young people. The youth sector can include anything from your local youth centre to organisations like Mission Australia, who run programs, to bodies such as the Youth Peak, the Australian Youth Affairs Coalition. The youth sector works with young people in a variety of different capacities. You might be, when you're employed in the youth sector, you might be, or even now as a volunteer, you're not expected to solve all the problems of a young person on your own or in your own service. Services generally, non-government services, generally have been given grants from the government to be able to support clients in a really unique way. It could be through running case management for young people that don't have anywhere to live. It could be running sexual health education programs. It could be running one-on-one mentoring. It could be drug and alcohol awareness. It could be counselling services. It could be a range of different support structures. And say in my background and working with alternative education, if I was working with somebody that experienced homelessness, I wouldn't work in that area. I wouldn't just ditch the client, but what I would do is I would take that client to someone who knew a lot about homelessness, and then we'd work together on their issue, or on their challenges, should I say. So we would sit together and would use and engage with the youth sector in a variety of different capacities to be able to make sure that client got cared for. And you'll see in your research that you'll be able to find a whole host of different youth services. Now, as you scroll down to even the next page where it says SA Community Org List, if you click that link, what it will do is it will take you to a website. And that website, you can just search every single community services organisation in South Australia. You can do that. You can speak to sacommunity.org and ask about the links to other states if you're from somewhere else. But you type in something as simple as case management, or type something in as simple as sexuality, and you'll see every single organisation and service that seeks to support those clients. Now, as funding changes and as services focus in different areas, some of that information might not be totally consistent and up to date, but you can absolutely speak to the person there and find out, what is that service doing, what is that organisation doing. So what we call that when we're servicing clients in that way is coming from a holistic approach, where we're not just trying to, if a young person's got education, barriers to education, we're not just saying, all right, we'll give you a tutor. What we're actually saying is, what's going on at home? What's going on with your social networks? What's going on in the community? Do you feel that sense of greater support? Do you feel that sense of greater networks from people around you? And then we begin to engage the youth sector.